I've been thinking, how do the laws get found when they don't know where to go? And I've been shaking, not many more twists and turns before I find the road. And I've been hoping for sunrise. I heard the dawn of hope can even light the way home. Just give me sunrise. Welcome to the Purpose Podcast with Dr. Jazz, where I am your host, Dr. Jazz, and we journey to purpose together. I am so excited for yet another episode. I have with me the Ashlee Rene. Hey, Ashlee.
Jess, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good to be here. Thank you.
Um, if you're watching, you need to look at Ashlee hair because Ashlee hair is flourishing, honey. Okay, and that also is what she does. So we're gonna talk about it in a second. But her hair is flourishing, honey. Okay, so I'm gonna read her bio, and then y'all know how this goes. We're just gonna jump right into the episode. Ashlee Rene is a renowned hair care specialist, wellness enthusiast, and founder of the By Ashlee Rene Collective, a brand rooted in focus, intention, and vision. Through her sub brand, Main Focus by Ashlee Rene, she leads a powerful movement built on behalf of the hair care is self care, and you are your main focus. With over 17 years of experience in the beauty industry, Ashlee helps women reimagine their relationship with their hair as a gateway to deeper self care and prioritization. She is passionate about empowering aspiring entrepreneurs, busy moms, and everyday women to reclaim their confidence, embrace self love, live with intention. Her mission is clear. When you make yourself the main focus, everything else begins to align. I love that. That's the whole episode right there.
Good.
We done. See y'all later. No, I'm joking. So my first question is always, what does purpose mean to you? And I think, in all seriousness, your bio does speak to a lot of what purpose means to you.
Yeah. So a lot of purpose. Let me just start by saying purpose, as we previously discussed. Like purpose is so broad, and purpose is something that I used to associate with career and just like you just read the bio. But I've realized that purpose is really how I show up to the things in my
Mm,
life. I believe on a core level, like all of our purposes in life is to experience life, joy,
mm,
love, expansion, growth, those types of things. And then you can kind of subcategorize purpose into those passions that you have, which as my bio said, I'm very passionate about wellness, hair care, women, life
mhm,
in general. And so yeah, I define it by how I show up to the thing. I no longer I used to associate it like, oh, my purpose in life is I'm here to do hair. But I realized like a lot of those like purpose, those subcategories of purpose can sometimes be fleeting. I also stepped away
mm.
from hair for a long time and found that my identity was wrapped up in what I thought was purpose for me. It took me to take a step back to realize, no, my purpose is I care about anything that I have my hand on. I love people. I love teaching. I love growing and learning. And so that I take that with me in anything that I do. But I do have those super passions that I can sit here and talk to you 10 hours about hair and just flow. I love wellness and postpartum fitness, and I could just flow off of that for hours. So those things I see as part of my purpose. But as a human being, I just feel like I'm here to express and be a walking example of love and joy and actually following your passion, following your heart, and spreading love.
I love that. So you already made a distinction between like identity and purpose. So what made you realize like these two things are not the same? Like was there an event or like how
So,
did you get there?
as I kind of sort of hinted at in my stepping away from the chair, which hair care, like I would describe myself as a few things. If I was introducing myself to you, I would be like, I'm Ashlee Rene, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a hair care specialist, and and I would list those roles in which this is who I am. Then pandemic happens. I'm also simultaneously pregnant with my son at that time. And I had already been kind of on the verge of like a burnout behind the chair and started to feel like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. And it was a hard thing to face because I'm like, I love hair. I love
Hmm.
hair. I love my clients. I love what I do. But I realized how much my identity has been wrapped up in career and my roles as this and that and the other. And I've just, once the career thing kind of, I had to sit back from it, whether it be by pandemic or maternity leave, I was going to have to sit down anyway. And when I couldn't do the thing, when I had the opportunity to actually take that step back and retire as
Hmm.
I realized, well, now, okay, how do I describe myself now? Like, okay, I'm a wife and a mom, but I'm resigned from behind the chair, something I did for almost 20 years. Now what am I? Who am I now? So getting back to the core of myself, like I had 2 years to really do some digging. And during that time, I really realized like, oh, okay, I can just also just be.
Hmm.
I can just be. If I stripped myself of all these things, and I feel like I had an opportunity to get back to the core of myself. And I just feel like the core of all of us is spiritual beings, human beings, having this human experience where we get to express in different ways. But the whole point is the love. We want to experience the relationships, the connection, the joy, the fun, all of those like general things that you can put into any category and have those experiences. As a mom, that brings me joy. As a wife, that brings me love and connection. As a hair care specialist, that allows me to express in care and service. Like I get to express these different core purposes through all of these multidimensional purposes that I have. So I just now kind of reframe it a little different. And it helps me stay in tune and aligned with self first
Hmm.
and these other things. Like I'm almost like a detachment type of feeling. Like I can have these things, but they are not all of,
You.
yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Like, as I'm listening for the themes, and the themes are like love, joy, like that. So, is it one of those things where, and I don't want to use the word chase, because I don't think I hear you saying you chase those things, but is it like, am I enjoying this? Do I feel love here? Do I feel joy here? And if not, maybe this isn't for me. Like, is that how it goes? Or how do you know is kind of the question.
How do I know? Tell,
Like, what is your purpose in
how do
that?
my purpose is in that? The
Yeah.
passion that I feel behind it, the love
Okay.
I feel in it. Like if I relate it to career, I realized like purpose isn't the career itself. Purpose isn't in I'm here, God sent me here to be a hair care specialist. I do think that I'm blessed with talent and gift and insight into this specific field, but at the same time, that's I'm also passionate about my family. I'm also passionate about talking to women about postpartum health and pelvic
Hmm.
floor therapy. Like I find that I find that my purpose intersects with passion, love, joy. Can I grow in these areas? Can I feel love in these areas? Do I feel like when I'm doing hair, I'm like in a zone. Like I time just passes by, I feel like that's part of purpose.
Mm.
Like I feel like there's purpose and it's like the bigger thing. And then there's all these like little things that goes into it. I have purpose in my career, in my motherhood, in my marriage, in my friendships, and it goes like that for me.
So here's another question, because I think, as well, I don't have no marriage or no children, but as the people who are listening that do have those things, when you say like the passions that are intertwined, how do you, and I hate the word balance. I hate that word. It's overused. There's no such thing as balance. But how it really like because either you're with this person or you're not, like anyway. But how do you know what purpose takes precedent? That's a
Mm.
good question. Because you are busy, right? And yeah, like how do you know I need to do hair today, or no, I need to be with my husband and kids today? Like, how do you know?
I check in with myself. Like I am
Hmm.
my first purpose, I guess you could say. And that's where in my brand, the whole self-prioritization message lives. Because I feel like in those things, whether it's my marriage, my children, my career, and those, I keep naming those because those are like top three in my life. But in those things, there is such thing as giving too much and becoming out of balance, giving too much of my energy to my husband, my children, my career, not pouring back into myself. So, first of all, I am first. I'm the first purpose. And then it branches off, not necessarily in a level of importance, but also just the showing up. I show up to my marriage every day, show up to my children every day. I show up to, like you said, the balance thing doesn't really exist. It looks different at different phases in life. Like for me now, I show up to my career. I look at it like on a daily basis because I'm doing it in one shape or another. But actually, like physically seeing a client, maybe that happens 3 to 4 times a week now, versus in the salon, it used to happen amongst 20 clients a week.
Hmm.
So I've minimized my one-on-one experience, but I still show up in my career on a daily basis because I'm always working on how can I help some woman with her hair journey.
Yeah.
So that's an everyday thing for me. And I think passion, again, kind of helps guide that for me. What are those things that I love? And it just becomes natural that I gravitate to one or all in some capacity, you know.
I love that you said you are your first purpose because, well, of course, your bio, but also like sometimes we get caught up in the thing we feel like we're called to. And even with your definition is so evolved, by the way. But
Yeah.
even with your, oh Lord, even with your definition, that like will not happen. You know what I'm saying? Just because of the way you see purpose. But for people who have a, I will say, I don't want to use this word, but more traditional.
Yeah,
Um,
I used
that
to. I can relate to that.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I don't know if I'm where you are. Like I'm listening, like, how do I get there? But like a more traditional sense of purpose and like their purpose drove everything. How did you get there? Like that is the question because there's something to because you can't do the purpose if you're not taking care of yourself, right? Like,
Right.
so how did you know, like, wait, none of this is gonna work unless,
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
So that happened to me probably around the time of marriage
Mm,
and motherhood, which they kind of happened almost a year apart. But I've been with my husband for since I was 15 years old. I'm 37, so 22 years, something like that. And so that first and foremost, that was like the first joining of my life with a person. Okay. Wasn't so much got away from myself because I still honored myself in our dynamic. I still did things for myself, what I perceived to be like self-care, self-preservation. I did those things when it was just us. Add a kid to the mix, it changes and it shifts a little bit because now I have a human being who very different from my husband. I didn't feel like I had to make sure he was fed or it was like lifeline, life or death type of thing. But with this child, it's a whole different dynamic. I don't feed her. Something not going, she can't do it herself. So
mhm,
then you become selfless in a different type of way. And so now I have these two dynamics of people that I'm caring for, on top of having like societal definitions in my mind of what a wife and a mom should look like. I'm
mhm.
trying to be all this to these people. And I'm wondering why I'm walking around resenting them.
Mm,
And I love them. Kind of the same thing I'm saying I went through with hair. Like I'm resenting this job, but I love it. What is happening? Something is missing. And
mhm,
so between having my daughter, having my husband, I had that moment of resentment. I questioned that moment of resentment. Why is this happening? What is happening? And I found out that I was not taking care of myself. I was having these feelings like I had to do it all. I don't think I was articulating it as telling myself I had to do it all, but I was just going through the motions of
mhm,
doing it all. And not because my husband didn't want to help. I didn't verbalize that I needed help. I walked around like I had it all together and I could do it all until I couldn't. And until one day I just didn't. And I feel like that was the birth. I literally can remember this defining moment of walking into my home, seeing dishes in the sink. I just came from a long day at the salon, my husband and my daughter sitting on the sofa. And usually I would drop everything, get frustrated. Why are the dishes in the sink? You've been home. I would have went into that mode. I went straight to the tub and I took a nice 2 hour bath.
mm,
And when I came out, I looked at my kitchen and wanted to clean it. I
mhm,
felt different. I started telling my husband, hey, you got to take my baby for a little while. Like, I need some time. I started almost like rebelling at first, demanding this time for myself, taking this time for myself. And I started to remember that, oh, I was a person before y'all got here,
mhm.
a whole person before. Like, what happened to her? And the birth of my son, like fast forward through all of that, that took a journey of slowly getting into self-prioritization. But after I had my son, that was like icing on the cake for me. And that is where the By Ashlee Rene Collective was born. That was where those pillars that I list that my brand is rooted in: focus, intention, vision. I feel like life is all about focus, intention, and vision, those three things.
Mhm.
And I discovered that after having him, after experiencing the pandemic, and that's where main focus was born. And the main focus is also this whole play on the word main being hair. Obviously, it's a paying an homage to me as a hair care professional, but also main focus. And you are your main focus. So it's like a reminder to myself that I'm first. I'm the priority. I'm the first purpose. Everything else branches off from that.
That's good. Because even like I said, I don't have those experiences, right? But I am very, which I guess I'm evolving as well. I'm not this way anymore, but I definitely used to be like my work was
Yeah.
like my number one priority. I had to do it well. I had to be excellent. I had to pour all into that. And I remember I had a job where I did that. And I came home one day and I could not remember when I put the dishes in the dishwasher.
Mhm.
Like I literally just couldn't. I was like, when was the last time I cooked a
Yeah.
meal? Like I can't even like the dishes were clean,
Yeah.
but I could not remember like
Yeah.
why were there dishes in the dishwasher? Like when, how long? And that's when it clicked to me. Um, and I quit that job, obviously. And like it has shifted me into, and I don't know if I am, no, I kind of am, because I've instituted a Sabbath.
Gotcha.
So on Sundays, my rule is not the traditional Sabbath. For me, is if I don't want to do it, I don't do it. Because I might clean my house top to bottom, but that's because I have the energy to do it. And then the next Sunday, I might sit on the couch and watch The Nanny all day. Like so it's literally like it's the only day I give myself permission to just be, and whatever comes out of that, comes out of that. So I love these revelations of like I can't, because even when you come talk about resentment, like I can't live, and I know you weren't there when you were having this conversation, but you can't live in love and resentment at the same time.
And that was the pull that I felt. Like that's why I had to sit back and ask myself, like, what is this really?
Yeah.
I know, it's not realistic for me to be like, I'm about to just leave this marriage and this kid. you know,
Right. Right.
exit stage left, like
Right.
figure it out, like, what is this? And I'm very, like, I pride myself in my self-awareness. I love that about myself. I am always willing to probe myself about why I reacted a certain way. Why did
Hmm.
I take that like that? And with this whole feeling of resentment, I know that I love these people to infinity and beyond. Why am I feeling like this? And I realized it was me neglecting me. It had
Hmm.
nothing to do with them, but they were a mirror, so to speak, as to
Hmm.
what was going on. And when I addressed it, like, life just got so much better.
I love that. And that was going to be my question, which you don't have to go in if you don't have to, because it's kind of personal. But what did that shift look like with your husband, right? And even your kid, well, your babies were still babies. But I've
Yeah,
heard people when their kids are bigger and the parent makes that shift, that there's like a whole thing. But your kids were still young, but still
well,
like,
no, it's still a whole thing. No, I
oh, okay. Okay.
couldn't say it's still a whole thing. Like, I mean, for with my husband, learning to articulate my needs and verbalize that I need help, I realized he even said it to me. Well, I just, I would offer and you would just say, I got it all the time.
Mm,
And so I just stopped asking to help you. Um, and that brought that to my attention. So now we don't live in these gender roles. We just like do whatever needs to be done.
mm-hmm,
I'm not specific to washing dishes. He's not specific to taking out the trash. Those are things that perhaps he may do more of,
mm-hmm,
I may do more of, but we work as a team. Like, we operate in a full partnership. I feel like that moment of shifting for me helped us to evolve into the marriage that we both always wanted. So I think with us getting married so young, we were still kind of bound by societal, religious, like all of these expectations of what husband and wife looks like. And here we are trying to be those things instead of just being ourselves.
mm-hmm.
And so I learned, let's just be ourselves. Let's just do what's best for us. And I mean, completely shifted. So, like, sometimes I feel bad that my husband doing more stuff
Mm-hmm.
than me, but
Mm-hmm.
we just both show up wherever it needs to be done. And I love that about our relationship. And then for my kids, like, it has taught them, first of all, to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
My daughter just came in not too long ago, yesterday, telling me, I exercised today, or she wakes up and has a morning routine. And like, I love
Oh, I love that.
that. So, like, even me just being an example sets the tone for my children. And they also have a deep respect for my alone time. If I say, Mommy is, I'm just not feeling it today, I don't hide my emotions from my kids. I cry in front of them. I scream. I have rage. Whatever I'm going through at that time, they're very privy to it because I learned with my daughter early on that trying to hide it or act like nothing is wrong when something is not right, kids can smell a rat all the time. So I learned
Mm-hmm.
that very early. So now I'm more expressive, like, hey, I'm not feeling it today. Can y'all just give me a minute? Mommy gonna go in the back. I close my door. Nobody bothers me. And my husband
Mm-hmm.
supports it. Like, hey, mom, let her do her thing or whatever. So I feel like in me learning how to prioritize myself, it provided certain behaviors within me that influenced everybody around me.
I love that.
Also, just treat me a certain way and vice versa. Like, naturally, me taking care of myself, pouring into my cup, I have a lot more to give, and I
Yeah.
answer and they can tell when I'm not, when I'm stretching myself too much or it shows. So,
Mm-hmm. I
yeah.
love that. Before we shift to your businesses and all the things, what are you teaching your kids about the love, the joy, like, because I know some people do talk to their kids about like, what is your purpose or what do you want to be when you grow up? Or like, what is the rhetoric that you are using in your house now that you've had this revelation? Like, I will let you know that you do seem very calm as a person.
I get that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not that I mean, I don't know, I've known you for a while. Not that I ever felt like you weren't calm,
Yeah.
Because I feel like you always have been like chill. What? That's it. So you've
Chill.
always been chill, but now you feel calm.
Yeah.
That's it. So
Yeah.
like now that you have this revelation, what does that look like in raising your kids? Like, are there conversations or is it just by doing, I mean, by showing? Like, what is it?
It's kind of a little bit of both. Definitely sometimes I have to talk to my daughter, actually. Like I need the advice
Mm,
or the help. And I find that because of our conversations, it's almost like like for example, one day I was just like really just off, right? And I was just crying and my daughter just like hugging me and she was like, "Well, mom, you don't feel like yourself, but like have you meditated? Have you journaled? Have you worked out? Like have you done all the things that you do that help you feel better?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, I haven't done any of those things today." She was like, "Yeah, well, you need to do some of those things." So it's almost like, how do you know? But they watch me, and they know I've asked them many a times, if you see me doing the meditation, please don't interrupt me. You know, they I help them understand that these things are important to me. These things
mhm,
help me be the best mom that I can be to y'all. And so we do have these conversations. My daughter just ran for Secretary of Student Council. And I
mhm,
was telling her, like, the elections are today, so we don't know if she won or not. But even telling her about being proud of her for stepping into leadership roles, I said, that says a lot about you. You know what I'm saying? And
mhm,
whether you win or lose, you're still a winner.
mhm,
You go and you congratulate your opponents. Like I feel like it's through those types of
mhm,
encouragements and whether they get it or not at this moment. I even ask my children, "Do you understand what I just said?" Especially my 5-year-old. And a
yeah,
lot of times it's like, "No, I don't." And then I'll try to say it in a different way. And then I get them to tell me back, "What did I just say to you?" And most likely I can get it down to a point where they get the gist of what I'm saying.
mhm.
So I feel like even those conversations help us they come to me, I go to them, and we just have this fluidity in our communication. And yeah, I mean, they're pretty cool kids.
I love that. I love that. I mean, at least that's social media. They some pretty. I know social media is not real, but like they are some pretty cool kids. At least if nothing else, they some cute kids.
They
Like
cute.
you done good,
They
Ashlee.
cute and they smart and they cool, you know?
Yeah, you done good. So I do want to shift to main focus because that honestly is what puts you kind of, I hate to say it this way, but back on my radar is when you like launch main focus because I moved out of New Orleans in 2012.
Yeah.
So like that was a long, long time ago. But when I saw the launch of main focus, I was like, what is she doing? So I kind of like tuned in
Yeah.
because that was the notebooks, right?
So the notebooks so it's a journal, but it's called 2020 Vision.
Okay,
Those were birthed during the pandemic.
right.
Was my first step into the wellness space that I always saw myself going into. When I said, "Oh, I'm going to retire from hair, I'm not doing this no more. Now I'm about to focus on self-care," not realizing that self-care and hair care go together, which is why I borrowed the term because I mean, I heard the phrase before, hair care is self-care, but what I've added to it is hair care is self-care and you are your main focus.
Mhm.
And it's really, again, kind of back to that whole purpose thing because main focus, the whole By Ashlee Rene, I call it the By Ashlee Rene Collective because there's 2020, the journals, which are vision journals, which
Mhm.
also are rooted in those, everything I do it's rooted in focus, intention, vision. Even with the journals, it's part journal, part vision board. It's to encourage the whole idea of having a vision for your life, setting your intentions and actually focusing on them. And it's a play on the whole 2020 vision when you go to the eye doctor and you have 2020, it's like perfect vision, right? So I've also incorporated that into everything that I do. So main focus. Focus kind of goes along with the whole 2020 theme, the having the good clarity, the good focus, sharpening your vision, having intentions for yourself. Um, Main focus is really just it's the newest baby of
Okay.
By Ashlee Rene Collective. And it's funny because Main Focus was actually a name that I came up with before I came up with 2020, before the journals existed. But Main Focus was at the time when I stepped from behind the chair, the first thing I thought beside the self-care part that I wanted to do, I was going to continue the hair thing by creating a hair care line of products. Worked with some chemists throughout the whole journey of the pandemic, and I don't know, it first of all, it got financially expensive for me.
Hmm.
And I realized it was just a bigger project that maybe the timing for it, I know it's going to happen, but the timing for it is just wasn't now. So I stepped away from that, took Main Focus, the name. It was just for the product. It didn't even have the meaning to me that it has now
Hmm.
in terms of prioritization and stuff like that. So I put it on the back burner, developed 2020 vision, went with that, came back around to Main Focus when I started my mobile care services. And that first was like the By Ashlee Rene experience, but then it became Main Focus. I brought that back. I went across some notes and stuff, and Main Focus just came back around again. I was like, okay, that makes sense. Main Focus, getting the girls to like focus on their hair care because hair prioritization is kind of like a thing that could exist a little bit more
I
in.
think it feels like hair feels like a burden.
Correct. And so
Hmm.
Main Focus is trying to, that's the mission of Main Focus, not even trying to, we're breaking those, we're helping women shift the way that they relate to their hair so that we reframe what that looks like. Um, but over time of me telling these stories about like how I came to my own self-prioritization, I realized like that God had a dual meaning in Main Focus. And it was, oh, you are your main focus. Oh, okay. I love that. Love that, God. Okay, been here the whole time and
Thanks.
didn't realize it, but thank you. It also goes with my message of self-prioritization. And so really my brand again goes back to the purpose thing. It embodies everything that I personally have been through, whether that be learning to make myself my own main focus again, or even my hair journey from living in a relaxer till the age of maybe 21, 22 something, and tapping back into my natural hair, getting to know it for the first time in my life,
Mhm.
and realizing that that's the story of so many other women, both stories. Neglect, self-neglect, and hair neglect is a story of a lot of Black women.
Yes.
Specifically point to us because hair wise, it is a big thing for us. We are really still new to our hair and discovering it, understanding it, learning it, and developing new ways to see it. And so that's what Main Focus is about. So she's like my main baby. She's she's out in the front right now because she carries both messages so strongly that I so wholeheartedly believe in. And that is like that's purpose right there.
Yeah, that is purpose. Because as you're talking, I'm thinking, obviously I didn't have locks when you were doing my hair, but like I was like, why? I don't know why I was thinking. I was like, why did I start locks? Like, was it because, as you do know, I do have a lot of hair on
Yeah.
my head.
Yeah.
So I was like, is that why I started? Like, I literally was sitting here like, did I lie to myself and say it was going to be easier? Like, I really don't know why I started locks, but I was thinking about my own hair journey as you were talking. And I do remember when I first went natural being like, this is crazy. Like,
Yeah.
that's like, this is wild. And I remember having a conversation with God. Actually, I was like, Lord, I'm just going to get a perm because it's too much hair on my head. I don't know what you thought you were doing when you made me. Like, serious conversations with God.
Yeah.
And he told me, no, I cannot do that. And I need to figure it out. That was basically the conversation. He was like, you need to figure it out.
Right.
But as someone who has legitimate, and I tell people all the time, like, there's a difference between, and you know, as a hair care, you could correct me, but a lot of strands and a lot of thick strands.
Yeah.
I had a
There's
lot of thick strands, right? And so there was just so much hair. And I just remember being like, how is this like these are real questions that I have, and I don't think I ever neglected my hair, but I definitely know I saw it as a burden, and
Yeah.
it wasn't something that I was excited to do. And it was, and I'm listening to you like, man, am I still there? I'm literally like self-reflecting as you're talking, like, am I still there? I don't know. I think because I twist other people's locks, but I never touch my own. Cause
Yeah.
it's so much like, and I need to start changing that rhetoric. Cause I tell myself like it's just so much here. Who
Yes.
wants?
Because it's part of you. Okay.
Yeah.
It's first and foremost. Like it's also, again, bringing it back to self. Even though like you, like I can't say that I've ever had neglect for my hair. I've always taken care of it, but I've just lived more than half of my life in a relaxer. So it was just, straight hair is all I knew. I was told that my hair was just so thick and unmanageable and I needed the relaxer. My hair was nappy or
Mm-hmm.
this and that, and all of these different stories and narratives around my hair. On top of that, society telling you some other narratives on top of your hair. Your family gives you some, society gives you some, and then it becomes the playlist in your own mind around your hair. And
Yeah.
go to do it with all of that noise, like who wants to do it? Nobody.
Yeah.
It's a burden. Like what? So my mission in that I've seen myself help so many of my clients with the mindset of hair and shifting the way that they relate to it. Just like you're saying about you, it's just, it feels like a burden. It feels like a lot of hair and it's just too much. I find that if we can, first of all, relate to it like, this is my hair. This is what God gave me. Okay, it's nothing different than the hair that maybe I might shave or not shave on my legs, the teeth that I brush every day. Like it's part of me. Okay. It's being nourished by things that I eat, drink, do, take, whatever. Like it's part of me. So I love me. So main focus, let me make myself my main focus again. And once I do that, I can start to reprocess how I see my hair. I might not feel like doing it. That's natural. You might not feel like going to the gym. It's good for you. You might not feel like eating healthy. You might not feel like washing your hair all the time. I do hair. I don't always feel like doing my hair. I got four heads in my house too that I also have to, besides myself, my kids, my husband, and my mom, plus my clients. Like I'm doing hair all the time. I don't ever feel like doing my hair. However, I don't approach it like that now. Now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do my hair. I know the best times to do my hair are morning because I have more energy than trying to do my hair in the evening. I started doing things until I saw what works for me. Started my hair earlier than later, having a cold drink on the side, having my podcast or some audio flowing in the background. I even with main focus, I created candles with the sole intention. It's called wash day vibes. So the candles are first and foremost intended for hair. I don't even want the girls to light them unless they're dealing with their hair. You don't have to necessarily be washing it, but the whole idea behind it is for you to set the tone. If I'm going and lighting my wash day vibes candles, I'm setting the tone. It's almost like setting up a date for you and your boo. It's like you and your hair. So I'm gonna set this candle up. I'm gonna put some music on for us. I'm gonna get some water or some wine or whatever. And I'm gonna make it a thing. It's part of my self-care. It's no different than going to the spa. They give you some robes, they have aromatherapy. Like you have to set the stage for your hair and start to see it as part of you, as part of this is a moment in time where I am making space for me. And then what comes from that is just this development of a relationship with your hair. Now you relate to it different. You might not always feel like dealing with it. Shit, I don't always feel, I'm sorry if I curse. I don't always feel like dealing with my kids and I love them to death, or my husband, or anybody, friends, mom, dad, whatever. But you show up different because you care about this relationship. Back to the hair, I care about my hair. I want it to thrive. So I'm going to do the things that are necessary. And I'm also going to make myself comfortable in the process. So,
Let me tell you. Because my next question was about to be, how do you convince, but you started it before. I was like, what is the rhetoric that you use? And honey, I don't know what I feel. Like, I feel a lot of, excuse me, hold on one second. I've been having some phlegm. I'm not going to cut that out the podcast. It is what it is. Okay, but anyway, so I have, when I started my life, they were doing just fine. You about to hear my whole sad story. And when I moved here, I found this lady that messed them up. So basically, some of them are thin, like you can tell where she did my hair, and then when I went to somebody else. So like I have these thin spots in my, and so I have not enjoyed my hair the same. And literally the last 2 months, I've told myself I need to find a loctician. So the loctician I have now, she does my hair well. She doesn't know how to fix locks,
okay.
which is a whole different skill set, right? And when I lived in Atlanta, this wouldn't have been a problem. But now that I'm back in Louisiana, it's and not in like New Orleans or Baton Rouge, right? Or Shreveport. I'm trying to find people that know how to do this. And when I tell you for the last 2 months, I have felt like in my heart that this is something that I need to do.
Yeah.
And like as you're talking, I'm like, let me call these because I have like two numbers and I'm supposed to reach out to those people and I just haven't. Because again, the girl who does my hair, she twists them well, but it's just like all the issues in between, she can't fix it
Mhm.
or whatever. And like as you're talking, I'm just like, let me call these people and see if one of them can fix my hair because, and again, I get my hair twisted every month. So it's not that I'm neglecting my hair, but I'm not in love with it. And I did not come to this episode
I
to be.
mean, just don't know what you're gonna get sometimes. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, even also to your point, like what I find it stems further than what I feel like we have
Yeah, I think
come
so
to
too.
know. Like I said, we got the narratives throughout our lives, as little girls. I know I was given a relaxer around like 6 or 7. I look at my children and I can't even imagine like relaxing my daughter's hair that young. I look at my son like, damn, I gotta relax it at this stage in life. And I feel like that generation of moms that did that, it was more so fight or flight mode for them. They did it, tried to make our hair more manageable for them. I totally get why, but it does not take away the fact that it interrupts the ability for us to grow a relationship with our hair from the beginning. So many of us are doing this like midway in our lives. We are now, for the first time, many of us developing a relationship with our hair and figuring out what that even looks like for us. So for me, even I mean, there was a girl that I was friends with at the time who asked me to big chop her hair for the first time. And I am still in my relaxer state. And I'm like, I don't even do natural hair at this point. And I'm like, girl, you sure you want me to do this? Because you about to look crazy. And when I think back to how I felt, I can feel how I felt in that moment, feeling as though she was crazy. But I realized it was more so because of myself
Mm,
and my discomfort with embracing my hair at that time, or even having the thought to even embrace. I never even really gave it a thought because relaxer was just what you do.
yeah.
And she interrupted that in my mind. And I can thank her to this day because I feel like that was one of the defining moments that made me go on my own hair journey. But also down the line, I became a natural, like, I call myself a healthy hair care specialist. But most of my clientele is natural because in my own journey, people begin to gravitate towards me to help them along their journey. So it just kind of worked out that way. But I didn't have the worst relationship with my hair, but I would say with my natural hair, I had no relationship because I
Mm.
didn't know how it even grew out my head. And I never even thought about caring about that because I had been sold so many lies about it. So I wanted to rewire that. I want to help women rewire that.
I love that. So my question now is like when you go to, let's not say a client you've been having, like a new client that's like maybe like me, like doesn't hate their hair, just not in love with it. Like it's just there. Like, what does the consultation look like? Like, I'm just really interested in these conversations because I'm telling you, I'm calling somebody when I get off this, So like, what do these consultations look like? Are people, and I don't want to use the word convicted, but that's the word that's coming to my mind. Like, are they convicted like I am because you said something that God said to me, right? Like, I gave you this hair. Like, it's and I don't believe that God makes mistakes. Like, I don't think he was like, oh, I gave her too much. My bad. Like, no, that's not, like this is what he gave me. And so I need to figure out how to take care of it. Same with my body, right? Same thing. Like you got to figure out what works for your body, exercise, blah, blah, blah. Why don't we think about our hair that way? I'm getting off topic. Okay, so the question is like,
Yeah. How does that look for me with consultation? I also want
yeah.
this too, because as a hair care specialist, I find that we also have been kind of groomed and programmed to go to hairdressers for our hair, and it's their responsibility. This was
Mm,
part of my burnout. Okay, this is part of, I started to feel like my clients were like my obligation. Like if I couldn't get sick, this is nothing that they told me. This is how I felt because of how passionate I was for showing up for their hair. I felt like I can't even get sick. I can't miss a day because I don't want to cancel your appointment and disappoint you with your hair. Because then what are you going to do? I had to remove myself from feeling like I'm, if I don't do it, like, no.
mm,
One thing, if you've sat in my chair during this whole evolution of me switching gears and more so coaching clients on, you need to get with your hair and take care of your hair
mm,
more than, because you're with me maybe 2, 3 hours or so, you're with yourself the rest of that time, more time with yourself than me. So I need you to have some type of know-how when you can't get in somebody's chair or if you got in the wrong chair. Like you need to know
because
how
that's different.
basics with your hair. You got to know how to wash it properly, how to cleanse it properly, how to know when your ends need to be trimmed. Like our hair communicates with us. When it's acting a little weird, like you should know, oh, if it's shedding too much, this is too much from what I'm used to seeing. Like when you start to have a relationship with your hair, you start to immediately know when something is off.
Hmm.
And you start to be able to relate, like, oh, well, I didn't wash it for 3 weeks, so this amount of shedding looks about right. But that comes from growing a relationship. And so to answer your question about the consultations with the clients, like some of it is a bit of a conviction situation, but also I because I can go in with personal experience with them, I go in with love and I'm able to probe. Every client is different, but almost same in terms of their overall story of not having a relationship with their hair. So a lot of times I will just ask questions that probe them to see how they relate to their hair in the first place. I can always tell if a client has been getting braids, quick weaves, sew-ins back to back to back, and they never wear their hair out. I can tell that that client clearly neglects her hair.
Hmm.
Or for some people, it's most people, I will say, it's a matter of I just don't know what to do with my hair. So I go to these wigs, weaves, braids, whatever. Some people have gotten so acclimated to seeing themselves a certain way with certain styles, braids, wigs, weaves, edges, slicks, all the not like all the things that we see that's trending, it becomes a look. It becomes an illusion, I call it, because now when you strip all of that away and you get bare down to your bare bones of your hair, you don't like the way you look. So for some women, I can always tell when it's an aesthetic thing. So depending on how the conversation flows, it's hard for me to pinpoint like a certain thing because every client is different. I
Hmm.
can just tell when I'm assessing their hair, like your hair always tells a story, just like you described your locks. Like You know, some of your locks you could tell when you went to this stylist versus this stylist. That still exists on your head of hair. So it the hair tells the story. I can tell when a client is neglecting their hair. I can tell when
Mm-hmm.
you don't wash it enough. I can tell when it's breaking in maybe it's some medication that you're taking. I can tell those things just by looking first and foremost, but also as I'm listening, I feel like I've just kind of I'm gifted in the way of being able to listen and hear some stuff that's not even really being said,
Right.
you know? And so, yeah, that's how I help people. And like I always follow up with my clients even a year after being with them. And I'm like, what do you feel like has changed since working with me? And nine times out of 10, most of them will tell you their mindset. And then their mindset then guides the behaviors of how they treat their hair. I've had many clients, not because I told them to stop wearing braids, but a lot of my clients are, I haven't worn braids since the last time you came in and my hair was doing this thing and I just stopped. Or like now they think when I say make your main focus, when I'm saying make your hair a priority, I'm not saying don't get the weaves, the wigs, the
Right.
whatever, but I'm saying consider your hair first.
Right.
Like I said, for everything else surrounding me, I consider me first. Consider your hair care first. Before I get these braids, let me make sure my hair is intact. Are these braids going to be the best thing for me to get right now? I'm going to do that. A lot of times we go the opposite way and we'll go get the hairstyles and then wonder why our hair is not thriving in some type of way. And then, like, no. If you first put your hair first in the care of it, certain decisions you're just not gonna make.
Right. Right. No, that's true. Okay, what's your professional opinion on the edges?
What? Give me something else. Give me some specifics on.
Like the big swoop down to you. So I just got normal, these the hairs I was born with. But I ain't never like you, yeah. The big like people cutting their hair.
They're relaxing their hair. They're carving out a little bit of their hairline and like relaxing it, cutting it, making the swoops. Again, another trend, another trend, another aesthetic that I think has gotten so much glory to the point where it's influenceable. Is that a word? Like
It
it
will be today.
people to want that. They see it so much. They see it on celebrities. They see it on these like, and we have our little girls, like even down to the little girls. It's a thing. I recently did a young lady, and I don't do kids. I did a client. She needed, it was her first silk press, and she needed a trim really bad. Little girl's hair like down to her waist. And some of the edges a little broken, but mainly because, well, she sweats and she's like in sports and stuff like that and wears a
Hmm.
lot of headbands. But also just this repeated product, excessive product on the hairline and trying to get that look. Again, it goes back to like a look. And if you think about it, like for us as Black women, you know, walking around in certain types of styles is just not aesthetically pleasing.
Hmm.
Like to preserve, I mean, it's kind of fluffed out now, but I have like some wave texture. I've been trying some Bantu knots lately, but I go to the gym with my Bantu knots because I want to preserve my style. When I go out the gym, I want to bring it down like this. Or my twist out. I go to the gym with my twist. A lot of women are scared to do stuff like that because they
Hmm.
feel like it's aesthetically pleasing. They'd rather go with a wig to cover their heads up. You're sweating in your head. Like you're also not letting your scalp breathe and stuff.
Hmm.
Like we also have to just change how we relate to how we look with our hair. Because a lot of times the fro, what's the term? I just heard a girl saying the cookie bush, the that's I mean, it's like nobody wants to do the big chop because that's
Girl. Okay.
it just goes, the list goes on as to how women, anything other than straight hair, long hair, or some other soft textured hair, other than that, everything else is not a look. And I just dare to challenge that.
So I love listening to you talk, right, about this because it's really is, I'm telling you, you really are challenging me. I never was the look person because my hair was always big. But I'm thinking about when I did have a perm, and I didn't have a perm that long. My aunt, and it's crazy because I was listening to your story. I'm like, how did I get there? My aunt convinced my mom that I needed one when I was in junior high. So I only had a perm junior high and high school.
Gotcha.
And I told my mom, I was like, I remember I didn't want the perm anymore. And she was so scared. She was like, I don't know. And I did look crazy for a year because I didn't know what was going on. I have no pictures from freshman year because I looked absolutely insane. But I didn't know what I was doing, right? Like it wasn't until like sophomore, junior year where I was like, okay, this is how I take care of my hair. I just didn't know. But I'm thinking about, and this is no shade, no tea to my aunt, but like, why did you think I needed? Like, what? Because it went like my hair was never done. You know what I'm saying? So, like, why did you think?
Programming. It truly is the program.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah.
Black women. And I say it loosely, not to group us all, because there are women who have been natural their whole lives, like their moms were on it at an early time in their lives. But for the majority, there's a lot of trauma behind our hair, whether you existed during the times of getting pressing combs and being burned, and like it's a thing all the way down. Like my oldest client just turned 89 last week, and
Happy birthday.
love her so much. And I've transitioned her hair from relaxed to natural. She doesn't wear it.
Wow.
I see her every 2 weeks. I do straighten her hair, so I call her straight natural. But she even has now embraced, sometimes when she goes outside, she takes walks every day. Her hair frizzes up a little bit underneath here. So she
Mm-hmm.
calls it going back. So my hair went back, but it's not as bad as I thought it might have
Mm-hmm.
been. And she trusted me to take the journey of transitioning her hair from relaxed to natural. And I always use her as an example because 89 years old, she experienced something totally even more different than what we experienced.
Mm-hmm.
She was told her hair was nappy. She was told, even to this day, she still relates to her hair as nappy or going back. Or I've grown her hair or helped her hair to, assist. I don't like to say I grew people's hair because I don't physically do it, but I assisted on the journey of growing her hair to a length that she hasn't seen in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, where were you when I was a little girl putting clothespins on my hair to make it have some shakeability and
Mm-hmm.
But it's just interesting to hear her and how she relates to her hair as an 89-year-old woman and listening to even my own story about how I related to my hair or even never really knew it until now. And even when I did big chop, having to rewire all of these narratives around my hair. Because I was the girl with the cookie bush and never saw myself with short, curly hair.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't even know how to make a curl happen. Like, didn't think my hair could wash and go. But it took me facing my hair, saying, look, this is my hair. It took my husband's encouragement on a lot of ways. And it just took trial and error, looking at yourself in the mirror, like you said, for a year going looking crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It takes that to be where I'm at right now with my hair. Like, I don't even want nothing in my hair. Not to say I don't get it, braids or whatever, but I
Mm-hmm.
love my hair so much. And like we go through things together. Like I said, now I'm in a stretched hair phase of my life. But I cannot. express more than I am expressing, like how much I have grown a love and respect for my hair and for the hair of others. And I want to see that same love flow from one woman to her hair all over the place.
Yeah.
I do understand the negative narratives. I do understand cutting off your hair, never even knowing what that even looks like for you. And it's curly and you don't know what to do with your hair and you feel ugly,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So it's a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just a mind thing. And that's what I want women to understand. Like, it's just a mind thing. I will say that that literally, organically just happened.
Mm.
As I said in some of our previous talk, like my brand, I realized, I didn't realize it at first, but I realized that my brand is literally a culmination of all that I've personally become, whether it is me with my own personal hair journey, me in my career, me in my personal life. Like the whole self-prioritization message and all of the reasons why I came to the message in the first place, it took me kind of straying away from myself personally, straying away from my career. Like all of these different experiences have brought me to this message because I realized with working with women on a daily basis, doing hair, hearing so many stories, I'm hearing the wellness side of it in terms of putting yourself last or just not taking care of yourself, not making time for yourself, or with the hair thing, I've heard the traumas and the this and the that. Here comes main focus to embody both of them. But what I realize is really my own story on both ends. The whole duality of the message is my own personal story that I know that and experience and see other women experience too. So it's more so like a love letter to all of us to say, hey, first of all, you, you're first. I'm not even talking about hair. Because it took me a while too to get away from, I felt, when I came back from the retirement situation, before that, I was done with hair. I didn't even want to be associated with hair because I felt like that's all people saw when they saw me. But I realized that was all I saw when I saw me because I started to wrap myself into that. You saw Ashlee Instagram, it was just hair. Not realizing that all of this is all a part of me. I don't have to separate one from the other because it felt like I couldn't do hair and not do self-care. And I've had so many people tell me, but Ashlee, like you've been encouraging self-care behind your chair for the longest. Like since we've known you, that's just you. I did not see it that way. But now I realize like God is telling me I never had to separate any of it because all of it is me. All of it is me. And so now it's just me verbalizing my message, sharing my personal story. So no, it's just that's really just it. All of it is me, and all of it is inspired by all of the stories that I've ever heard any woman tell, whether she's talking about herself or her hair.
I love that because I'm thinking about how I just feel like you are elevated, honey. Okay. And like how you are, like, because when I think about my purpose and all because I'm always reflecting when people are talking on the podcast, like how does that not like woe is me or what about me, but just like how do I relate to that? And I think that's kind of how I see myself now as well, right? Like that every venture that I have is really just something that I care about. Like it's a group of people that I care about. Like I really believe now, before I didn't know before I got this job, that I actually am called to college students. Like they're I keep calling them crazy. I need to stop calling them crazy, but they're
I know you mean it
crazy.
with love.
Yeah, I do mean it with love, but they're crazy. Like I have conversations, I'll be like, and I'll literally say, that makes sense to you?
Uh-huh.
Right? Like, but having those conversations is a part of me. And I think sometimes the scary part about purpose is that we don't like to label it, right? But But when I'm hearing your story, it's like, no, it's actually just me figuring out who I am and how to share that with the world in whatever capacity they look like. Because y'all gotta follow Ashley on Instagram because it's actually very funny. Because I saw your video about your husband and being fine. That joke was so funny to me.
Girl. Yeah.
That was so funny to me. But whoever's told you, like that is how you always have been. You
See,
know, yeah, so it's not like a reach. And I think you can tell when someone is reaching and you can tell when this is not authentic to them. But when I watch you from afar, it feels like I'm on your couch with you, eating popcorn, watching the Ashley show, like, and that's what it feels like. And I think that is what I hear you saying purpose should be.
yeah.
Yeah,
Really in yourself. Like I'm learning that. Like the more I live, the more I realize like I liken it to something I told my mom when I was young. Like I wanted to be a plastic surgeon. So I thought, right? So
I
how
remember that. And I was trying to figure out why you was doing hair.
I wanted to be a plastic surgeon. Like I just thought I was going to medical school. I went to Xavier. Like I did all the things. And that's why hair is such a passion for me because I didn't see it coming. And that's how I know that I'm in the right place because it just flows. And I told her no matter what I do in life, I went down to a garbage truck person, which I love garbage people and I appreciate their service. But I told her, even down to something of that nature, I would do my best. I would be the best trash taker outer I could be. Like, no matter what I do, I'm going to show up as myself with excellence. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to come with love. I'm going to come with care, and I'm going to care about what I'm doing. And I feel like a lot of times behind the chair specifically, that's some feedback that I get that sets me apart from a lot of stylists is the fact that I really do care. And a lot of times, what I've come to realize is I don't want to care more about your hair than you do.
I tell
And
my clients that same, I cannot care about this project more than you care.
and that's what I realized. That's what led to the burnout. I was caring more, not to say my clients weren't doing their parts, but I was also experiencing some clients who weren't willing to do the work on their own. And now I only want to really work with women who are either at that point in their journey where they want to do the work or they're already doing the work and they just want help along the way. I don't want to work with somebody who's not serious about their hair or their hair care because I don't want to care about it more than you. I have my own hair to care about. So,
Yeah.
and that's personally and professionally speaking, you know?
Yeah.
That's just with anything. I don't want to care more than I'm supposed to. And because I'm going to bring some care. Sometimes I bring too much care
Hmm.
and to certain situations or certain people, but I realize it's just me. Like I'm very passionate, I'm very loving, very caring, you know. And so, yeah,
I think that, and I think that one thing that you said is actually the difference between just doing something and being purposeful in it. Because most people that I know that are purposeful in anything, and I've had all types of people on this call, and they all say something similar, like, I want to help people that want to be helped. And I think that's how you know that it is your purpose, right? Because even back to my students, like there are students that come to my office and I'll be telling them, like, I can't, don't come in here no more because you don't actually want
Mhm.
my advice. Like you don't actually want to change. You just want to come sit in my office and complain, and I have work to do, right? Like I have to give my resources to students who want to grow, who want to go somewhere, who want to do something. So I think that one little thing kind of shifts it from Ashley that just does hair to Ashley who is purposeful in doing hair, and how that also shifts your clients, right? Shifts your clientele.
completely. It
Yeah.
weans out people who are not serious like very, very quickly. And I can always tell, like, even if I do service a person, I can tell if they're gonna last or not. Again, through conversations and talking and also just insight of doing this for so long. Like I can literally read someone's hair and what they're saying about it. And I can tell you if you're going to do the work, or maybe you just need to contact me some years from now when you are ready.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm focused on the ones who want to do the work, meaning you don't need me as often. Like, in some ways, it could seem like an oxymoron to be a hair care specialist who, I don't want to say like I'm pushing clients away, but I'm also saying I don't want to be your sole reason that your hair is cared for. Um, I don't really want to have to, like, I'm not going to be behind the chair forever. And
Hmm.
even in this season of my life, since coming back to the chair, I still see myself. I had a whole tagline when I came back, from behind the chair to beyond the chair. Even though, like, I fought being back, I looked at it like being back behind the chair. It felt almost like I was going backwards. It felt like a fail. Like I told y'all I retired, so why am I doing hair again? But I realized that I came back with a different purpose,
Yeah.
a different intention behind what I'm doing. So I still see myself as beyond the chair. I don't even see myself as behind the chair. Like, yes, I am behind the chair, but I'm beyond it, doing coaching, teaching, um, sharing my own journey, helping people, helping mothers with their children's hair, helping women develop a better relationship with their hair. Like,
Wait, you coach moms on how to do their children hair?
yes.
I'm gonna need that. I don't know how to do no hair. That one, let me see. Every time I talk to God about my future, I say, Lord, I don't care how many kids you give me, just give me one daughter only. Because if you want me to do two, three heads of hair, I don't know what we about to do. If
I
it's
mean,
17 of them, only one could be a girl. Because who doing hair? And then I thought about it. I was like, but young men are growing out their hair now. So that is not a guarantee.
okay. I always wanted a son. I always wanted a son. And my vision for my son was to go to the barber with my husband. My husband decided to grow his hair during the pandemic when he couldn't go to the barber. So I started twisting his hair, and he's been growing it out for the last 5 years. And so is my son. And now they're like these doublemint twins who feel like I want to look like him and I want to look like him. So I'm not cutting it unless this one cutting. Like, it's a thing. So saying that to say, I thought I was only going to be doing me and my daughter's hair, but yeah, no, I'm doing my daughter, my son, and my husband's hair. So, you know, it could go either way.
Thank you for that. Because that was, yep. Because I look around, I'm like, wow, they have hair. Somebody's mom twisted her son's hair.
Girls, sometimes.
Mhm.
Emily and Jet's hair are totally different. Jet is more like me. Emily is more like my in-laws. Like, it's two different. Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm not. Okay, back to the podcast because that little stressed me out a little bit. And I got a lot of hair. That's what I'm saying.
the coaching services for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I'm gonna sit. I'm like sit right here while Miss Ashley tell me what to do. Come on now. But like I just, oh Lord. But I was the kid that had the matching bows to the dress. I was fly, baby. Fly, baby. But anyway, okay. So back to pocket. So my final two questions are always the same. If you had to succinctly say, and I know we've had all these conversations around what purpose means to you and all these things, but if somebody, which I don't think anybody will ever ask you, but me, ask you, Ashley, what is your purpose? Like, what would you say?
I would say to be authentically myself. My purpose in life is to show up as a light, as an expression of what I believe God intended us to be here for, to show the love, to show the joy, to show that it's possible to live like a really good life. It doesn't mean you're exempt from bad things happening, but it's about like, okay, when bad things happen, how can I grow from this? How can I move from this? How is this helping me? You know how they say life is not happening to you, it's happening like for you.
Mhm.
And so I I feel like my purpose is just to be an expression and an example of those things and just show up show that in everything that I'm doing. If we
I
have,
love that.
it's showing up here. If I'm out here doing hair, it's showing up there. So yeah,
I
just
love that. That is so I'm on this mission to be 100% free.
yes,
And
that's
I
it.
feel, yeah, like what you said that I was like, oh, like that's what it is. So I would say I'm like 86% there. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty close. Huh?
Let me tell you something interesting though. You're really 100% there. It's the percentage of stuff you have to just like let go of to reveal that
Mm,
because we're born free. We're born worthy. We're born like if I think also my journey being a mother, watching two children be born into the world, seeing, getting a glimpse of how we all come in, you know, no biases, no
mm.
no negative thoughts. We don't even see color. We don't see that our hair is nappy. We don't see certain things until we engage with the world and start to see things a little differently. And nothing is wrong with that because I feel like that's what creates the whole diversity of the whole universe. Like we need all of that for all of us to grow and expand, learn from each other, and all the things. But overall, we're born free. So life is really about like stripping all the stuff that clogged your freedom away. And so you get back to this baseline of being free because we just naturally are. Like you naturally are free. So what are those things that are clogging us that keep us from thinking that we are already? We're already that.
No, I need it. Yeah, that's a change of perspective that is going to be helpful as I'm like on this journey. Because I in a broad sense, do not care about what people think of me like in a broad. That's why I'm like 86%. Like I don't care. Right. But it literally is the people closest to me. This is not my episode. I got one more question in. And you are not my therapist, but
I am. I'm hairstylist. Natural.
yeah, y'all hear everything. Just like that student, I'll be looking at them like, and what else happened? But anyway, so I having to take it off is probably because it's usually the people closest to me, right? Like I know there's no in my line of work they call the generalized other, like this person that you're always thinking about. I don't have that person. I don't have the generalized other, like I don't care about that person. I care about the person that actually know me. And I'll be like, oh gosh, I gotta, if I do this, even though I want to do it, I'm gonna have to defend it to this person and this person. Like that's what stops
Mhm.
me. So it's not the world
Yeah.
broadly. So that's interesting that I have to. That's good. I'm thinking about that.
That's your natural set point. I'm naturally free. So right now, if I'm not feeling free, what is in the way? Am I feeling a little insecure about something? Am I like it's usually those emotions that show up that feel a little off. That's really just the information. It's really just the mirror back of the thing that you're allowing to disable the freedom that
That's
you
good. That's good. That's really good. Thank you for that. Okay. So my last question, because now I have to go think, is if people get nothing else from this episode, they listen to us to however many minutes we've been here together, and they're like, all right, Ashley do hair. That's great. But what do they want you want them to leave this episode with if they get nothing else?
you get nothing else. I want just what we just said. I want everybody to first of all remember because purpose. I just watched a podcast not too long ago about purpose and how people kind of get this feeling of I don't know what my purpose is in life, what I'm supposed to do and stuff. I just want people to remember that you really first and foremost are here to be just be natural expressions of God or whoever you relate to and be light, find things that you love, find people that you love, connect with those things, like flow with those things that are of your highest excitement, as I've heard it be put before. And it just makes so much sense because those things are the areas in which you're going to thrive in when you give your all to this thing or you get into this particular thing, whether it's a career or a relationship, and it just feels really good to you and you flow and you're being your highest self, that is the purpose. Like there's no necessarily a specific thing. It's about you showing up as you without all of the filters, without all of the things clogging you up, remembering that God created you for a reason, for multi purposes. But the main purpose is to experience love and joy and growth and expansion and evolution.
That is so good. And I said that was my last question, but I have another question, and then we for real gonna be done. Because I, like many people, like you, as I've heard, did not expect to be where I am today, right? Like this is just not. I never thought podcast. Who knew, right? Like professor, who knew? I was going to grad school to run the place. I thought I was gonna be the dean of whatever, whatever, right? But professor, what? So business owner, no, like none of this stuff, right? So my question is, how did you come to acceptance? Because you said something about like this is the reason and this is the season. How did you become to acceptance of like Ashlee is not behind the chair anymore? She's not just a mom, but it's evolved into this whole brand that is carefully curated, carefully tagged. Like, how did you come to acceptance of that? Because I'm listening, when I heard your answer, I was like, but you morphed into this person that you are today. Like,
It, like literally morphed. There were times where I didn't see where I was going. As I even expressed to you, I didn't even see the link between the duality of main focus in and of itself. I didn't know who I was coming from behind the chair, like, well, who am I now? What do I tell people? But in all of that, what I've learned is just the faith to continue to recognize that I know that like God places stuff on all of our hearts. And I feel like if we just take the time to like listen and trust, a lot of trust and blinded walking has got me to a place where I can actually see some of the vision start to make sense. I feel like after the pandemic, I had one piece of the puzzle and it went there and it was just like, okay, what fits with that? And oh, but I don't want to do hair no more, so I'm self-care. But I realized like God was saying, no, like all of these things are you. Like all of them are part of you. You don't have to, it's not a this or that. It's an and situation. It's not a wife and or a mom. I don't have to pick between those two. I could be both. I can also be a really ambitious career woman. I can do all those things. Like it just shows that you can do all things and all of it is you. Like if you just show up as you, then you'll see the essence of you pretty much exist in all of it. So like I say, if I pull it apart and say, okay, take my children as a category. Well, I see joy show up, I see love show up, I see passion show up. If I take my husband, I take my career, if I take my friends, if I take this conversation with Jazz, like all of those things still show up. So there has to be a common denominator, and I'm it. So that's what I realized.
yeah, I love that because I still feel like I'm in this journey and I'm talking to my best friend is about to transition again. They just shifts, right? Like in 10 years, I may call you and be like, Ashley, let's do a follow episode. You're doing something totally different. But I think in the transitions, it is accepting that I am the purpose, right? Like that, like what you just said, like I am the purpose. And that has been, and I'm trying to get her to see that, like, girl, you're she's basically about to go to corporate to nonprofit, which is like for people who've only been in corporate, that is a literal mind shift, right? And I'm like, but you are still you, whether you're in corporate or nonprofit. But anyway, we're going down a tangent. But I just think that is so.
It's just like I'm saying that one puzzle piece, but you can't see the rest of the puzzle. So you're like, are there even some pieces that go with this piece? And you don't see it until you kind of travel the path. But if you quit, you never see that. So to your point, even about your friend, like right now, perhaps she only sees that one puzzle piece, corporate. How does nonprofit fit in this? And there's gonna be a time where all of it, everything she's done in corporate and nonprofit, she's going to realize like, oh yeah. But then when you boil that down, the common denominator is her.
Yeah. I'm gonna text her that and I'm gonna say this ain't mine. I got this from Ashley. But that is so good. Thank you for being on this episode of the Purpose Podcast with Dr. Jazz, where we journey to purpose together.
I
It
love it.
was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. And guess what? Same here. And I feel so much more evolved since the first time we were supposed to do this.
Mm.
I I'm a big believer in timing. And I think this was the perfect time to have this
Oh,
conversation.
I love that. I love that because I ain't gonna lie, I was a little disappointed. I said Ashley avoided me, and that's okay. Yeah.
Not a whole different, but it would have been a little different. I'm in a different
No.
now than I even was then. So yeah, this is a big conversation. So I appreciate having it while I'm in a space where I have more clarity about what my purpose is.
Yeah.
Probably would have sounded a little different. Probably would have been good, but it would have been different.
Yeah.
I think this was good. I think what you're doing is beautiful. And
Thank you.
such a beautiful question. All of the questions are beautiful, but just the whole concept of purpose and then having people define it and how it shows up differently in everybody. And so you made me think a lot. Like before you
Thank
walk,
you.
I'm just like, purpose, what is purpose? Like, how do I had to think about it myself, but yeah, I was like, I'm gonna just show up and be myself and see what comes. And so
And it came. So we thank you. We really do thank you for being a part of this episode. And if they want to get in contact with you, or how do we do all those things? And we're going to put them in the bio, but how do we do all those things?
I have a website, www.byashlee, that's ASHLEE, Renee with one ERENE.com. And from there, all of my information is on that website, but also Instagram. That is like my go-to. I'm trying to become a TikTok girly, but I don't know. But Instagram is at I am Ashlee Rene. And I also have By Ashlee Rene on Instagram as well. So and I'm that on all platforms, even YouTube. I'm gradually going over there too. So yeah, I'm just evolving. So I'm evolving organically. I'm not pushing myself to do anything that doesn't feel natural. So yeah.
All righty then. Well, y'all heard it. Y'all know where to find her. And like I said, it'll be in our show notes. So thank you again, Ashley, for being on this episode. And we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.